Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. It's about how I make my pure water. Barnes asked me in a comment quite a few months ago. I've had a lot going on, so I've not got round to it. So this is the video to answer his question on how do I make pure water for my window cleaning. Right, here I've got my outside tap, and it's that feeds me RO and DI machine, which is this hose here, and that's my garden hose. So that's why I've got a splitter. But what I need to find out is what are the TDS levels coming out of my household tap. To work out your TDS levels, you're going to need a TDS meter. You can get them from lots of suppliers. The main one I use is X-Line, but you can get them from anywhere really. But just make sure you get a genuine TDS meter, not a cheap one, because it will give you false readings. And the genuine one is going to be the most accurate, which in the long run is going to save you some money. Now, there are different types of TDS meters you can get. This one is like your mobile one, so basically I can take readings from the source of the water, be it at the tap, out of my tank, or out of the jets that's coming out of my hose. And you can get inline TDS meters, which I've got inside my shed, which is the setup with my RODI, and I'll cover that in a bit. But first of all, let's go through this. First of all, you've got a cap. I fill that with water, and then I place the TDS meter inside that. So it's now taking a sample of the reading, and then I can press this button on here called hold, which I haven't done. So it takes a reading. Not sure if you can see it, I'll just focus the camera for you. It's 272 parts per million, so that's the reading coming out of here. It is normally, when I measure it, around 260 parts per million. Just Google up what your TDS levels are for hard and soft water. I think you find when it's, as a rule of thumb, if it's 100 parts per million or above, you're going to need RO and DI, otherwise it's going to cost you too much in resin. If it's like 50 parts per million or less, then you can do without the reverse osmosis and just do the DI, which is just using resin. Another thing worth doing as well alongside this is using something like this so it can connect to your outside tap and give you a reading of what your water pressure is coming from your mains, because this will tell you if you're going to need a booster pump or not, if you're going to go down the RO-DI route. And it's something your suppliers will probably ask you if you're someone who's just getting into this in the first place. So you need to know your TDS level, and you need to know your water pressure from your mains. Right, you can see my PSI of my water pressure is sitting around 20, just slightly above, so it's not really good. In fact, most UK water pressure is going to be below 50 PSI. If it's below 50 PSI, what you're going to need is a booster pump if you're going to be using an RO membrane. Now, from the main tap, I've obviously got the hose running through into my back garden towards my shed, and I'm using a hose lock connector, and it connects to this hose here, which was supplied from X-Line when I bought my booster pump, which you'll see on the other side. And here we go, here's my 240 volt booster pump. Again, it's from X-Line. This is a new one. I've recently installed it a couple of days ago to replace my old one, which wasn't working right, so I needed to replace it basically. This is where it's coming from the main tap through the hose lock onto here, comes into this, which then boosts the pressure into my membrane, so it's going now above 50 psi. In fact, it's going in around about 80 psi. Once it's gone through the booster pump, it goes through this feed, which then pushes it towards my RO membrane. One thing I have fitted in the system is a valve, so when I'm doing maintenance I can close that off without having to turn the water supply off at the mains. At the back of my RO-DI machine, I've got here, this is the casing which houses the RO membrane. It's a 40-inch RO membrane inside there. Again, it's all from X-Line, and again I've recently installed a new one into here because my old membrane had blown and basically needed changing. My system does 2,000 gallons per day, which is 9,500 litres per day. It's an all automated system, it's static, so it's not connected to the tank of my van. Instead, I've got it on this, which many people do. It's a 1,000 litre IBC tank. That's my holding tank, and that's where my pure water is going to sit Later on I'll go through how to transfer the water from here to the tank in my van. Now this system being all automated, what happens is there's a float valve that's in my IBC tank. As soon as the water level goes below that, the system is activated, so it'll automatically turn itself on, and in reverse it'll automatically turn itself off. When this system turns on, what happens is it does a 5-minute flush cycle, so it's going to flush through the membrane for me. And why does it do this? Well, basically it just preserves the membrane so I get more use out of it, so it's going to last longer and save me more money. So it's going to protect the membrane, and it will do this every hour as well. So once the 5-minute cycle's gone over, the booster pump will automatically turn itself on, and it's plugged into the system with the plug here, so it's all automated. And after 1 hour of use, like I've already explained, the booster pump will turn itself off and it will do another 5-minute flush cycle, and so on until the system tells it to turn everything off. The booster pump will get my pressure going through the RO membrane, like I've mentioned before, hopefully between 60 and 90 psi. So this is the optimum setting for the membrane that's in here. Otherwise it's not going to work as well, and therefore it ain't going to last as long, and that's the most expensive part of the whole system to replace, which you will need to replace at some point. I've got a new membrane in there because my other one has blown, and I'll tell you in a bit later in this video how you know that and how to work out the rejection rate basically. Now, to protect the membrane in here, I've got 2 housings here. These are your pre-filters. In this first one, what you've got is 20-inch paper. Now you get these in 20-inch and 10-inch, depends on the size membrane and the RODI system you're using. There are many different types out there. This is the one I went for, and it's paper or sediment. Its job is to basically capture all the big bits that float around in water that we can't see with the naked eyes, but it's going to damage the RO membrane, so that captures them. It then passes through this pre-filter into the next one, which is carbon, and this captures all the chemicals in water that are harmful for the membrane as well. So that's what your pre-filters do. So that's stage 1, stage 2. Stage 3 being the membrane. This does its magic, and it does 95% of the work of producing your pure water. So that is a big thing, and that's why you need to change these pre-filters regularly. It's recommended every 3 to 4 months. Your suppliers and guides will be different. Some people do it every month, because once they've gone, they're not doing the job of protecting your membrane. When your membrane blows, that's a big money spender. So your membrane stage 3. After it's gone through stage 3, it'll go through your DI vessel. This is an 11-litre DI vessel, holds 11 litres of mixed bed resin, which you have to change when your TDS levels start to get to a certain level. And you just basically empty that and put in the new resin, and off you go. The resin's going to last longer the better your membrane's performing, and just remember your membrane is protected by these pre-filters. So basically the whole system is really important, and that's how my system works. Now, I mentioned before about a TDS meter. This one here is called a dual TDS meter because it can take 2 different readings. It comes with 2 probes, and depending where you fit them in your system, that will give you different readings. Now, for example, on one of these probes I've got for the dual TDS meter, I forgot what it's called there for a second, is basically it comes in after it's passed the RO membrane. So that gives me the reading of the TDS once it's passed the RO membrane. At the moment, because it's a brand new membrane, it's actually reading 5. So just to recap, my TDS level off my tap was 272. When it passes through the membrane, it is brought down to 5 parts per million. And then I have another probe, and this is located in the hose which comes out after the water's flowed through the DI resin. So it's given me a final reading of what my water is going into my IBC tank, and this will read 0 parts per million because, again, when I change the membrane, I've changed the resin. I have fitted to my system, so when the water's coming from the booster pump into the RO membrane, a pressure gauge, and this is how I know what the PSI reading is of the water being fed into my membrane. Right, here goes. To work out the rejection rate of your RO membrane, you need to know what the TDS reading is after it's come through the RO membrane itself. And I said in mine, because I've got the dual inline reader, I know it's 5. So what I do is 5, and then I divide that by the TDS reading of my tap water, which in this video was 272. And if I press equals on that, it gives me this reading, which I have to multiply or times by 100. And all I'm going to do is round that down to 2 decimal places, so it'll be 1.84. That's what I need to remember. And now what I need to do is do 100, as in 100%, take away 1.84, press equals, and that now has given me the rejection rate of my RO membrane, which is 98.16%, which is good. Anything that becomes under 95%, that means you're going to have to start thinking about replacing your RO membrane because it's not efficient, and that number is going to get much worse and quickly as time goes on, which is what happened to my old one. Hopefully this is explained to those who want to know, like Barnes, on how I make pure water. The good thing about my system being static and not something that's attached inside my van to my tank is the following reasons. Basically, if I was to have a couple of vans, I'm only using one system, and using a holding tank I can fill up 2 vans and keep them on the road at once. So it's good for multiple van setup basically, and obviously the more vans you got, the bigger your holding tank needs to be, and perhaps even better your system needs to be at producing pure water. But another reason as well is it allows you to have a small tank in a small van, and if you don't mind popping home during the day to refill up, it allows you to refill and get out there. And it could also save space in your van just by having a smaller tank, for example, if you do other things. And for me though, mainly is I come home lunchtimes, I work for my son, 2 of us in the van, really probably need an 800 litre tank, mine's 500. So we always fill up, have a break for lunch and get out there again. And it allows me to do that because when I refill up the van, say lunchtime, this whole system automates and starts producing water while I'm out working. When I finish and come home, we just re-top up the van so it's ready and full, ready to go in the morning, and my system is automatically producing water as well. Now if my system was attached to my tank, I can't leave until my tank is full again basically, and that could hold me up for a few hours. My system, I think going from nothing to 1,000 litres is probably around 5 to 6 hours. I haven't timed it right properly. So that's another beauty of having a static system, and I would recommend doing that. It doesn't cost you any extra of having a static system compared to having one on your van. Plus when it comes to maintenance, it's a lot easier to disconnect things and get it outside my shed to get access to my RO membrane than it is doing to something inside my van, because I'd have to take things off, get the housing out and then take it apart, which is pretty much the same thing in doing my shed, but I've got more room in my shed than I have in a van. Right, what I've got here is a transfer hose with a transfer style pump. I think it's 1-inch hose. That's what you need because it helps with the water flow. And this is all connected inside my IBC tank to a submersible pump. The pump I use is from a mate called Titan, which I bought from Screwfix. And that's what I use, 250 litres per minute. So it's got a good speed to transfer water from a holding tank. Using this hose, it goes over my garden fence to the rear of my van, and then using this just like you do with a petrol pump, that's what fills up my tank, and then we can let go of the handle and the water automatically stops. And then basically we leave it out until the end of the day where we refill it up ready for the morning, and then this gets packed away. And on the very top of my IBC tank, I've just got an old bit of insulation board, because basically on here I just fit stuff for me bird feeder and some handy bits to have in here when I'm having to do any maintenance on my system. And the reason why as well is because I've got a big hole cut in the middle here, so a square, and that's how I put my submersible pump into my tank. There's a wire that goes through to the electric, and then I've got coming through a hole here the hose, which is going to then go through to filling up my van. Hopefully here you can see inside the IBC tank, there's my Titan submersible pump with the float valve, and it's as simple as that. 250 litres per minute, transfers the water into my main tank, doesn't take long at all, and then back out there. And like I said, the beauty of all this is it's all automated. It's producing water while I'm working, and it gets me on the road faster. Well, that's it from me. I hope you liked the video. If so, give us a like, give us a subscribe. All helps me out and appreciate it. Finally, Barnes, hopefully I've answered your question, mate, which I'm sure other people have as well. Anything you want to ask about this video, stick them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Enjoy the weekend and stay safe.